Okay, I didn't do a video yet for the unit circle. This is something I want you to fill out. You get an idea of how the angles and the ratios match up. Let's start with 30 degrees. So at 30 degrees, we know that radian measure is pi over 6. You can do the conversion or memorize that. Now, if this is my 30-degree angle, then I would make a little triangle. This would be my long side and the short side. Okay, and the radius in the unit circle is always 1. So the short side is going to be half of that, and that is the sine. Sine is opposite over hypotenuse. Okay, and then the other side is going to be that times the square root of 3. So this would be square root of 3 over 2. Okay, 45 is pi over 4. Memorize that. So this is a 45, 45, 90 right triangle. The radius is 1. Then you have to divide by the square root of 2. If you've watched the videos in the other lesson, and you'll know in your 45, 45, 90, the hypotenuse is 1. The hypotenuse, to get the hypotenuse, you take the square root of 2 times one of these legs. So we should divide by the square root of 2 to get the leg when we already know the hypotenuse. So 1 divided by the square root of 2, simplify, you get square root of 2 over 2. So both of those are the same. And we have done several of these in the lessons in the other videos, but I'm just filling in the unit circle for you. Okay, 60 degrees is pi over 3. So now the 60-degree angle is down here. So then the cosine then would be 1/2. So it's just flip-flop from the 30-degree angle. And then our quadrant angles, let's just fill those in. 1 is the radius, right? 0, 1, -1, 0, 0, -1, and 1, 0. Okay, so let's just keep going. So at 100, well, 90 degrees is pi over 2. We've got to fill that in. Okay, at 120 degrees, okay, that is going to be 90 plus another how much? 30 more? Well, 30 is pi over 6. So pi over 2 plus pi over 6. Or you could come the other way. This would be then 60 as a reference angle. Well, 60 is pi over 3. Right? So if you go pi minus pi over 3, pi would be 3 over 3 minus 1 over 3 is 2 pi over 3. So you can get that, or you can take 120 degrees and times it by pi over 180 and do the conversion. Now for the values, use the reference angle of 60. Okay, so that's the same as the 60-degree angle. So 1/2 and square root of 3 over 2. Now we have to remember we're in the second quadrant now, so the x value is negative. All right. 135, that's going to be the same as the 45 because your reference angle is 45 degrees. So those are both the same, square root of 2 over 2. And then you know that the x value is negative. 150 degrees, it's the same as the 30-degree angle. Square root of 3 over 2 and 1/2. The x value is negative. Okay, so far, can you tell we only needed to do the first quadrant and then just know the signs of every other quadrant? So once you memorize the first quadrant, you could fill in the whole thing because they're all the same ratios. Every one is the same according to the reference angle, which is going to be 30, 45, or 60. And then you just have to know the signs from each quadrant. For example, in the second quadrant, x is negative. In the third quadrant, x and y are negative. Okay, so let's fill in 210. 210 is a reference angle of 30 degrees. So it's square root of 3 over 2 and 1/2. both of those being negative for being in the second quadrant. 225, same as the 45-degree angle. Square root of 2 over 2. Square root of 2 over 2. We're in the second quadrant, or third quadrant, so it's negative, negative. And the 240 would be the same as the 60. 1/2 and square root of 3 over 2. Both of those are negative. I mean, really, if you think about it, you only need to know the 30 and the 45, because you know the 60 is just flip-flop from the 30. So it's not a lot, really, to actually memorize. Okay, let's go to this one. 300 then. Well, let's back it up. We forgot to do all the trig ratio, the angles. So 135, okay, that's going to be 45, well, we're going to be pi, 1 pi minus pi over 4. So 4 over 4 minus 1 over 4 is 3 pi over 4. Or you could just do the conversion. This one is less, so since we're pi over 6 for that one, so it's going to be 6 over 6 minus 1 over 6 will be 5 pi over 6. Or you do 150 times pi over 180 and reduce it. Say 210 times pi over 180, reduce it, pi over 6. And let's see, 6 over 6 and 1 pi, so 7 pi over 6, so you had one more. So we have pi, 180 is pi, which would be, if we're going in fourths, would be 4 over 4, and then one more fourth. So is it 5 pi over 4? So this one is in thirds. So we're going to 3 over 3 plus another third. So 4 pi over 3. Or you can just do 240 times pi over 180. And then this is going to be, this one is pi. This would be 1 pi or 1.5 pi, which is 3 pi over 2. And all the way is 2 pi. Okay, let's go back to our, well, let's just finish out the radians. So, let's see, all the way to here. So 3 pi over 2, or if we're going to talk in, if 300 degrees, that's going to be in thirds, right? So 3 pi over 3, and another 2 more pi's over 3. So 5 pi over 3. And this one's 45. So we have 3 pi over 4. That's how much we're going to add to, let's see, if we're in fourths, 4 over 4 and 3 more. So 7 pi over 4. And then, let's see, this one's going to be in sixths. So I go 6 over 6 and 5 more. So that'd be 11 pi over 6. Or you can go this way. All the way around would be 12 pi over 6 minus 1 would be 11. However you want to do it. Or you just take the number, times it by pi over 180. Okay, so our values. So 5 pi over 3, that matches with 1/2 and square root of 3 over 2. And so, let's see, we are positive x, negative y. And let's see, this one would match with the 45, so square root of 2 over 2, square root of 2 over 2, and let's see, the y is negative. And this one's going to match with our 30-degree angle, which is going to be square root of 3 over 2 and 1/2, and the y is negative. Okay, so for the trig value, so sine, we know is the y value, cosine is the x value, tangent is y over x. So cosecant would be 1 over the y, secant 1 over the x, or just the sine flipped or the cosine flipped. Cotangent then would be x over y. So our sines in quadrant 1, we know that the sine or the cosecant as well. In quadrant 1, the sine is going to be positive, right? Because sine is the y value, so all the y values in quadrant 1 are positive. In quadrant 2, the y values are positive. In quadrant 3, the x values are negative. And in quadrant 4, let's see, sine, sorry, the y values. Well, back it up. Sine, the y values in quadrant 3 are negative, and the y values in quadrant 4 are negative. Yeah, okay. Y values in 1 are positive, y values in 2 are positive, y values in 3 are negative, y values in 4 are negative. Okay. Cosine and also the secant. So these are the x values. So x values in 1 are positive, x values in 2 are negative, x values in 3 are negative, and x values in 4 are positive. And then tangent and cotangent. So that's going to be, when you divide the two, the x and the y, what's going to happen? If I divide the 2 in quadrant 1, I get positive. I divide the 2 in quadrant 2, it's going to be negative. I divide the 2 negatives in quadrant 3, that's going to be positive. And I divide the 2 in quadrant 4, I'm going to be negative. Okay, so there's your unit circle. That's how that works. Okay, so you want to be able to keep this and use this. If you watch this video, you can use it on your quiz.